Can somebody be spiritual and also eat animals?
Ah, the question. I spent many years trying to figure that out, if that's possible. And to this day,
What's the most disturbing thing that you learned while you were making Test Subject B?
I don't want to give away too much of the film, but people are not going to look at food the same way.
Many Buddhists claim that because they're not the ones physically killing the animal, that it's okay for them to consume meat that's already been killed.
I feel that's even karmically worse.
I was that guy who used to make fun of vegetarians. Vegans, don't even bring them in front of me. And then when all of this happened to me, I was just like, what an idiot.
If animals could ask humans one question, what do you think it would be?
What do you see when you look into my eyes?
Hey guys, welcome to Kindness with Amy. I am so excited for today's episode. I am joined by two amazing guests, Kunal Avanti, who is an entrepreneur, a friend of mine, and a visionary behind a new film called Test Subject V that's coming out on Geo Hotstar on the 18th of July. I am so excited about this. This has been a very long time coming, so it's going to be awesome, and we're going to talk more about this. I'm also joined by Kip Andersen, who is an incredible American filmmaker, activist, producer, co-producer of Christspiracy, Seaspiracy, What the Hell, Cowspiracy, and now executive producer on Test Subject V. Thank you so much for coming, guys. I'm so excited.
Thanks for having us. It's super to be here.
So, Kunal, let's start with you. Firstly, your background is not in filmmaking or any of this stuff. You are an entrepreneur. How the hell have you gone from running a business to now having a documentary/movie that's coming out on Hotstar? How the hell does that happen, and why?
I guess, my life was going a certain way, and I kind of knew that I needed change, and then I had like all of these signs of me pushing me to go a certain way and ask myself a few questions about how I was living my life. And that's when I kind of did my own research on certain things in terms of the lifestyle, my diet, my choices, ethically, in terms of sustainability. And when I started digging, I came across some information that kind of woke me up on my own personal journey. And I just decided that I didn't want to be a part of that particular lifestyle anymore. Forget what I was doing in terms of my job, etc. That also kind of changed over time because I had to kind of align my values in what I did for a living as well. But yeah, and then this gentleman and his films also had a huge part to play in my journey. So I'm very grateful to him for that. He's done some amazing work in his films, and that all leads to kind of like an awakening. And then I've always been into film. I've always loved film. I've always loved music. I've come from a creative background. And then I just decided that, if I wanted to spread this message, and I realized that, from his films and from others, that film is such an incredible instrument to change or create change or spark change in the world positively. And I was inspired to do that, and it took me some time and took a few years, as you know, but we're finally here, and that's how it all happened.
That's amazing. So Kip, can you please tell me, can somebody be spiritual and also eat animals?
Ah, the question. Well, I'll put it this way. I spent many years trying to figure that out, if that's possible. And to this day, I've not seen it happen. I've not seen it. When you really search for that question genuinely and don't put any blinders on and like really go deep into going to find out how they're raised, okay, if they're raised well, okay, then how are they killed? That's the part where it gets a little rough, because it's just very difficult to imagine an animal being killed spiritually if the animal wants to live. So, and then not only that, you're consuming the death of that animal And not only, just recently they're coming out with biological studies where before it felt like metaphysical and kind of like woo-woo, that you're eating an animal's death. It sounds kind of like whatever. But now they've really found that an animal, the adrenaline that's pumped into an animal's muscles and the cells get trapped. And then you're ingesting the adrenaline and the cortisol. So you're literally eating fear that they can measure in your body. And your body cannot tell the difference between your own cortisol, like if it's fight or flight, or another animal's. So your body just knows it's cortisol in your fight or flight mode. So when you're consuming a lot of animals, on the opposite side of spiritual, you're in this fight or flight mode, and you're in this, that's why people like feel primal and like, oh, need a warrior, because that's kind of the stage you're in. You're in like this fight or flight warrior stage.
So when you say that the adrenaline affects the muscle tissue, is that like cellular memory?
Yeah, basically what happens was when an animal is killed, when it's particularly a healthy, free-range, happy animal, a very healthy animal has a lot of adrenaline and very healthy nervous system. And so what happens, it gets shot because it's happened so fast where it gets very scared very fast. A happy animal all of a sudden gets taken on to a truck and then goes into the slaughterhouse. All this adrenaline floods into the cells. So you can see this at a biological proof where there's cortisol, which is a hormone, and it gets stored in there. And so when you ingest it, it's literally ingesting these cortisol and adrenaline inside of your body. And what's interesting is people say, oh, well, I eat only free-range happy animals. I'm spiritual, I feel good about that. And what's interesting about that is if you're eating a factory farm animal has different pigmentation and a different texture than a free-range happy animal. And in the US, the only thing that happens when an animal gets killed is the USDA labels it either DFD or FSE. And what that means is DFD means dark, firm, and dry. And that means when an animal is a factory farm animal, it has no adrenaline. It has the mitochondria and the cellular structure has been totally depleted. So what happens with that, bottom line, is the meat is darker red, it's very firm and dry. And then on the flip side of a happy animal, that's called FSC. And what happens there is that an animal has been put in such amount of stress that it has a very healthy nervous system, and it drops suddenly so fast that the cells basically explode. And they call it weeping, and they judge the amount of weeping the meat has. And billions of dollars are lost in the meat industry from these factory farm, from these healthy animals, because the cells collapse and the muscles and the tissue cannot hold the meat together. So it just falls apart. So it's the opposite of dark and firm. These cells just collapse. And so you're basically eating not only terror and fear. You're also eating the mitochondria that has just been completely compromised and destroyed. So either way you have it, you have an animal that's been totally dead and has nothing, no life force in it, or you have an animal that is full of fear and cortisol and adrenaline.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's so crazy.
I recently read, if I may.
Yeah.
I recently read someone talking about it, and I've recently also started learning more about spirituality and kind of going down that path myself. And someone was talking about it the other day, and it just made so much sense, and it just kind of reinforced my feeling about all of this. Is that when you are what you eat, right? And when you're consuming an animal that had died from these same, while going through all these emotions, what are the emotions that they actually went through at that point? It was fear, it was anger, it was sorrow, and you're consuming those kind of energies, and that stays with you. So again, it's not, of course, from a scientific standpoint, but it's just the fact that you're eating those feelings, and that kind of stays with you. And that, just hearing that's what stayed with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy what you just explained.
That's so interesting, because I was in a plane heading from Dharamshala back to Mumbai, And when I was sitting in the plane, there was a Buddhist man, a monk, sitting next to me, and he ordered a chicken wrap from the air hostess, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like reconciling it in my mind. I'm like, I don't understand, like the whole premise of their religion, if we're going down that spiritual religious road, how is this justified? But then I was reading that many Buddhists claim that because the monks claim that because they're not the ones physically killing the animal, that it's okay for them to consume meat that's already been killed. But it's like, it's only there because you're demanding it. So technically you are indirectly killing it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Totally. If anyone's seen Christspiracy, if you haven't, definitely watch it.
Great documentary, guys. I'm sorry, but please, I'm going to put the link in the caption. It's like mind-blowing. Yeah,
one of my favorite, and most people's, one of the funniest moments is we are interviewing a Buddhist monk, and we ask him the question you asked. So we say, well, can the Buddhists eat meat? And he says, yes, as long as we don't kill it. And he says, if I buy it at the supermarket. I'm like, well, why did they kill it? So people, I can't wait. It said something like, why did they kill it? So people will eat it. Well, who eats it? The people who pay for it. And I said, well, who pays for it? And he says, well, not just me. And then, but yeah, the thing, if you think you pay for it and have someone else kill it for you, I feel that's even karmically worse, because now you have not only an animal being killed, now you're dragging someone else in who has psychological impact from having to kill the animals. Now you're bringing two living beings into this murder, where if you killed it yourself, at least it's just one, and you have at least connection to your own karmic, whatever that is with that animal. But people leave out so much, even in the animal rights, in the animal rights conversation, it's so important to bring in the human rights element of it too. Yeah. When you go to when you go undercover to these slaughterhouses, not only see these animals killed, if you can speak to the slaughterhouse workers, it is so sad. And we interviewed them in Christspiracy, and all of them have PTSD. They have way higher levels of suicide, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, and they're just so sad. And it's just, it's horrible.
Wow. What do you guys say to people that say that animals are put on the earth here for us?
In almost all religions, if not all, the first rule that God commanded to humans, because, if we're talking about the Abrahamic faith, the Christianity, Judaism, even in Islam, the Abrahamic faith, the first thing that God gives a command, an order, is that we have dominion, because animals came first and then we came after. And so what dominion means is that we have stewardship over it. Our command, our very first command, is that we're here to have stewardship. Stewardship is meaning taking care of. Protect and take care as a parent takes care of a child.
Wow.
That is our purpose in life. That is our very purpose. These beautiful animals were put on this earth, and we're here to take care of them, and to bow down and to serve them. We're not the master species, we're the servant species.
Wow, that is such an interesting perspective.
And so to get as close, and then for myself, I feel to get as close as I can to God, whatever, I'm not, in any spiritual denomination. If I'm serving animals, then I'm doing my job of this order of whatever this commandment came from. And when you're doing that, it feels so aligned and you feel so spiritual, I guess you mean, when you're really serving these animals. It's very fulfilling.
Wow, because when people hear that word dominion, right, you think of dominating or taking over, but for it to be about being a steward and taking care, that's a complete perspective shift.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, my answer isn't as beautifully put as his. I just feel that it's ridiculously arrogant. It's as simple as that for me, because as you know, and it's hard to escape these days, the kind of effect and the impact that humans have on this earth and planet. If we were to be wiped out, the planet would flourish, and now that's kind of the data is evident. So I don't think that we have any right to even think on those lines, that we're, superior in any sort of way. We're all here together, and we're supposed to live in harmony. And humans, unfortunately, have gotten disconnected to such an extent that they've disrupted that harmony completely. And I do believe in. I do believe that humans will eventually, and I hope eventually, turn around and kind of reverse this. And I think there is time, there is hope. I do believe there's hope. I'm sorry, I have to be optimistic.
I'm not.
I know. I have to be.
I believe there's a lot of things happening, and even going back to, just because talking about Christspiracy, going back to the prophecies, not only in the Bible, but in a lot of other prophecies. There's a beginning of time, the Adam and Eve, where there was no death, there was no murder, there was no bloodshed, and then the fallen times with the flood, and then at the end of the Bible, which is considered a prophecy, the lion shall lay with the lamb. There'll be no more bloodshed. All the cities will be basically cities of green and foods and forests. And so I believe it will happen. It might happen out of, maybe another flood or something, out of some major event. But I feel the human being is at a time of remembering who we are. And I think with the age that we're in, with the internet and all these things happening, we're really becoming one with these. You can't hide anything anymore.
Yeah.
And the new generation that's coming up, I believe they're going to be they are very awake, and they're very tuned in. And so it's not like humans are becoming something, it's that when we remember who we are. You mentioned the comparison against animals. Animals know who they are. We're the neurotic ones. A lion knows that they're a lion. A gazelle knows it's a gazelle. They all know who they are, and they embody who we are. We are humane beings. We're human beings, and we forgot that's who we are. And so we steer it off and pretend we're lions, or we're these primal, these flesh-eating beings, when at the core we're humane beings. And I feel there's this beautiful time that we're remembering who we are, and it's going to exponentially happen over these next 10 years. I really see it happening.
Yeah, I see it happening in parts and installments in different places, in different generations, different segments of society as well. And it's not an overnight shift. That I'm not hopeful about. It's not going to be an overnight thing, although we'd love to see that. But it's going to happen. I really believe that.
I really hope so, you guys. I hope that you're right. I think I've just become, over the years, very a sad little pessimist. And I just feel like we're just going to end up blowing everyone up and just ruining everything. But nonetheless, I really hope that you guys are right on this.
Well, I think the main thing is, as long as you're riding that frequency of compassion, then I feel like we'll be okay. I believe that. I mean, if anyone knows the Mandela Effect, if anyone knows about that, that really tripped me out a few years ago.
Can you explain what the Mandela Effect is?
So the Mandela Effect, Nelson Mandela, it started with Nelson Mandela. When he got out of prison, I can't remember what year it was, he got out of prison. He wasn't ever heard of for a long time. And when he got out of prison, it was like, wow, this big celebration, got out of prison. And then there was thousands, not hundreds, thousands of people all around the world, thousands and thousands said he died in 1988. They remember the funeral. They remember exactly watching on TV. And that became this thing called the Mandela Effect, where there's these two realities of remembering situations. And so some things that happened recently of a Mandela Effect, is Monopoly big here?
Yes.
So used to be.
So you know the guy with the monocle, the old man with the monocle? He doesn't have a monocle anymore. He doesn't have a monocle. That's gone now.
Why?
And he for sure had a monocle, right? Another one is, I don't know if in India, Bernstein Bears. It's a kid's book. Britney Spears, Britney Spears is not big here. So Britney Spears, I mean, this is kind of old too, but this is a new one that happened in the last 2 years. Britney Spears, when she became famous, she had her little Catholic school.
Yes.
The plaid Catholic school girl. Now it's black. It's a black. If you go onto the internet and you'll see Britney Spears' first song, it's a black skirt, and most, like if you grew up and saw Britney Spears, 100%.
It was a checkered.
It was checkered.
Yeah, yes.
And now it is black. It is crazy.
Wait.
Every
I'm sorry.
boy knows
I'm
that
sorry.
for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Boys
What's
more than
happening
girls.
right now? I'm really confused by this.
That's what's great. And I can go on and on. There's more of these. There's more of these. And
Crazy. It's crazy.
But how is this real?
well, that's the thing is there's one person who just wrote a book on it, and that there's two realities happening. There's little glitches in the matrix. Again, it's kind of crazy to think about, but there's a reality where us three are in this other one where Britney Spears has this checkered, has her checkered skirt, and these other things are
Check
glitches.
the video now, huh?
And so what I'm saying is that if you're writing a certain frequency, everything's frequency, energy, and vibration, and everything is an illusion. And so if you're writing a certain frequency, energy, and vibration, and it's of compassion, and it's of kindness, and it's of this glorious world of visioning that everything is fine, keep that thought and keep that vision, and we're gonna be there. So we're gonna be there.
That's a really interesting thought, Kip, because I'm reading this book called Biology of Belief. I don't know if you've heard of it. And it was written by this cellular scientist, and he basically, through his years of research and studying human cells, he came to the realization that obviously we're made of trillions of cells, right? And he realized that each human cell has the capability of changing its environment based on the situation it's in. And what it basically comes down to is the thoughts that you feed your body, the reality that you create in your mind. If every cell in your body believes that reality, that will happen. Yeah. Because your cells have the ability to create that. And that, my mind was blown that from a scientific, this is not some woo-woo manifest your life vibes. It's like literally this is a very scientific idea. And it's really fascinating. So really the power, I think you're right, like the power of positive thinking is really quite powerful, and maybe a little something for maybe more people who are aware to really practice and focus on, because it's very easy to get kind of caught up in like feeling like, oh, the world is terrible.
Yeah.
And, because then if someone like me feeds into that idea that the world is terrible,
You're going to see it.
Be terrible.
You're going to see it. You're going to put that vibration to people you talk to. Then they're going to believe that, and then they believe that. It's a domino effect.
Wow.
And so, this is a big thing I say as an activist. We have to hold the vision of peace and compassion. And I've come a long way, because I used to be very depressed, like you're saying, and going undercover to the slaughterhouses, to all these. And then I found out about these things, about Mandela and the things that you're saying. And me being an activist, the animals want us to visualize that they are in joy and they're in peace, and that humans love them, see them as equals. And we have to hold that vision. And so it'll happen. Thoughts become things. So we're creating that reality, just like you said, for everyone. And then so domino effects, and oh, really? That's happening? And so I say, oh, it's happening all the time. And since I did this a couple years ago, I'm seeing this happen a lot. And I'll tell you, taking it to where we're at now, Test Subject V, your film, I just said this earlier, because I had the same conversation. All of a sudden, this is happening. And I'm all of a sudden in India here, because I'm seeing these things happening really quickly. And so I think it's a great sign that this is happening, your film, in India of all places. So it's an example of also honoring these wins. This is a huge win. And so as you honor that, it just gets more of attention. So
absolutely. See that? It's a huge win. That's so exciting.
Yeah,
you're leading the way.
I just hope that it's well received and people see it, and there's more of these coming out.
Correction, it will be well
I
received.
know.
Sorry, there we go. What do you guys think is the biggest lie that people believe in India about vegan food?
That it's ghaspus. So again, I'm coming from a neutral standpoint over here, because I've been that guy. I was that guy who used to make fun of vegetarians. Vegans, don't even bring them in front of me.
Yeah.
That was me. I was my cool thing to say was, oh, you should never trust a vegetarian. And then when all of this happened to me, I was just like, what an idiot. I had that moment, and I have that all the time. But it's because we tend to fear things that we don't understand completely, and then there's a herd mentality around it, and then there's stigma around it, and you just go with that, and you kind of don't want to face your own conscience. No one does. It's hard. It's hard to come face to face with, you know, things that you've just been throwing under the rug or hiding under the carpet. But yeah, I mean, it's critical to go out there and explore, because the food that I've had, you know, the opportunity to have, like, to try these amazing, my whole world of food is an extremely important part of my life. You know, I love food. I'm one of those guys that live to eat. And I thought, you know, if I'm going vegan or plant-based or, you know, whatever the kids are calling it these days, it's over. My life is done, because, you know, I'm not going to get all that. But it's just gone from here, it's gone to here. That's what it's opened up. It's opened up my world, my palate to so many new flavors. I'm experimenting more. I'm trying new things that I never even.
So
I
you
was
enjoy
closed-minded.
food more now as a vegan than you did as a non-vegan?
100%. Like, there's no doubt in my mind about that. Because when I was eating meat, and I've eaten everything that walked, you know, and I'm ashamed, it's part of my journey. That's where I've come from, because I've been eating mutton since I was 2 years old. I was eating cows and pork. And I'm apparently, well, my father's a Jain. So I've eaten it all, but it was always about convenience for me. So I wanted to get my chicken, I wanted to get my eggs, and that's all I ate. I would have my chicken tikka or my butter chicken or my scrambled eggs in the morning. But now I'm just open to try everything. You know, there's just a whole new world of food out there for me. And I'm just, again, speaking from a very neutral perspective. This is me and my personal opinion on it. But yeah, the food game has changed, man. And it's gotten way better.
What about you, Kip?
Well, I can't speak for, because I've been in India too long, but it just reminded me of when someone goes, you know, vegan or plant-based, I'm like, oh, that was such a fun time. I remember when for me, it's been 18 years. And it's the attitude. It's not what you can't have, it's what you can have and what you discover. Every day, my partner at the time, we both went vegan at the same time. And she's like, I just found a new cookie at this place over here. And then the next day, I'm like, oh, I found this new recipe. And every day was this open up world of excitement and like a treasure hunt. And it was all about what we could have. And it's like you said, opening it up, because we always had the same exact thing. Exactly. And then everything just opened up, and just having this fun, like, child sense of wonderment and what's next can I find? And then traveling to every new city, it's the funnest thing ever.
It is. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And that's so funny, because that's the misconception, is whenever I tell someone that I'm vegan or plant-based or whatever, immediately people are like, oh, it must be so hard. You must really miss cheese and meat and stuff. I'm like, dude, no. Like, and I've eaten it all. And now I enjoy food so much more. Like, it's so exciting. Yeah. It's problematic that I have a cafe because I have too much access to food. But it's just so amazing. Like, the palate, I don't know, it's almost like there's an appreciation, because you know it's vegan, that you're just so much more appreciating of that
excited
food.
about it. You're happy. It just makes you happy.
Like anything. If, like, for example, the cookie, it's like, it's so exciting to find a vegan cookie on a menu somewhere, and it's like, oh wow.
When people say I feel sorry, I say, well, I feel sorry that you still have to eat a dead, rotting flesh animal to think that you need to survive, like. It's sad that people think that they really have to. And I genuinely feel, I have a lot more compassion. Before I used to be angry, and now I genuinely feel bad for people who are like, oh, I can never be vegan. I'm like, oh, that's really too bad. I'm sorry. Like, maybe someday you can, but it's sad.
I think since we're talking about misconceptions over here, another really important one to table is that people say that, so I don't miss meat and cheese because I get plant-based meat and I get plant-based cheese, and people think that, first of all, the misconception that first initially came was, oh, it tastes like crap. Yeah. It doesn't taste like, you guys are fooling yourselves. Yes, and maybe 20 years ago it did taste like crap, but now the food technology, you get that meaty bite. You can taste it tastes like beef, it tastes like chicken, it tastes like turkey, it tastes like fish and shrimp these days. Yeah. People are doing some amazing things, right? Of course, there's variance in brands, and some brands are better than the other. And now the misconception is that, oh, it's ultra processed. You can't eat that because it's so bad for you. But then what I did when I did my research, because I don't want to eat processed stuff, right? As I grow older, I want to eat cleaner. And then I did, like, the studies show that it's still way better than eating the animals that we eat right now, because and you've done so much research on this, the kind of stuff that's pumped into these animals just to keep them alive in those horrific conditions, because they're all sick and dying, right? And they're pumped with antibiotics that's causing antibiotic resistance. They're pumped with B12. But yeah, it's just there's so much stuff going on over there. And then there's this whole thing about processed food. Everything is processed. Anything that goes into a packet
Slice of bread
is processed.
but no
Milk
one is sitting
processed.
every single thing, but no one is sitting there being like, oh, do this processed and bread is but plant-based meat. Can't eat that because that's processed.
Every single thing that we have, our coffee is processed, tea is processed, right? So there's a difference for me, and again, I learned this, and for a long time I stayed away from it but then I did my research, and common sense, there's ultra processed and then there's processed. Right, ultra processed is when you have like a list of 30 ingredients you can't even pronounce them, and that's become like a thumb rule for me. If I can't pronounce the names of those ingredients and there's like 30 of them, then I know that, okay, I'm going to stay away from that.
Yeah.
But there's plant-based meats out there, there's plant-based cheeses that have like 3 ingredients. There's cashew or water or pepper and things like that. Seed oils, But yeah, it's it's a misconception. So I feel bad for people who would not go out and try these things because they're missing out. It's a tool to help you kind of, if you're ever thinking about making the switch, it helps you make the switch.
Absolutely. And it's true what you said about the outcome data, because it's like if you're having, for example, a burger once or twice a week, right? Yeah. And instead of killing a cow or a sheep and putting knives into its throat, instead you can choose to have the plant-based meat version of that burger. The outcome data suggests, every single study that's been done, every single outcome data that is out there proves that if you're having plant-based meat to replace actual animal flesh, then your results are still better than if you were having the animal flesh to begin with, even though it's processed.
There are plenty of studies.
Yeah, because the animal meat is also processed. This is the crazy thing, is like no one seems to care that that's also processed. Yeah. So what do you guys say to people that say to you that being vegan is extreme? Because I hear this all the time.
I say eating an animal is the most extreme thing ever, if you think about it. To have an animal that wants to live and someone else that you don't even know has to slit their throat and kill them, and the blood comes out, and then they have to slice the flesh up, and on and on and on. It's as extreme as I can possibly think of, not taking part in that is the opposite of extreme. It's gentle, it's easy. I always say when people say it's hard, that's what I say. It's like, wow, I think it's really hard to even imagine me to doing something so extreme as eating someone's flesh or their secretions. That's extreme.
Yeah.
I think it's just to be fair to people, I think we've all been there as well.
Yeah.
It's just so much to do with conditioning to what we've been told is extreme and what is normal, right? So I think if you uncondition, and that's kind of what Test Subject V is about, right? It's unconditioning and unprogramming and unlearning the things that we've been taught to just then, hey, wait. Once you reach that point where you've gotten out of there, and then you can kind of see the data, you can see the information, look at things from a very fresh and clean perspective, and then you're like, hey, wait, I'm drinking the breast lactate of another species. Or I'm wearing the skin of another animal for fashion, right? These basic things. And I'm killing an animal, consuming it just as smart as my dog or my cat for protein or a sandwich, when I can just about go and eat the same exact thing without doing that. And then you kind of realize what extreme is and but it takes time for people, to be fair, to kind of uncondition. And I think that it has to come from within. You have to give that concept of, okay, there is another way, a chance, and uncondition yourself first. And it's a bit of a process, but I think we're all capable of it, and I think we're all going to get there.
So Kunal, tell me how you feel Test Subject V is going to shift people's perspective in India.
I think that the idea behind creating this film was to deliver the message, and it's a message of compassion. You know, you have different ways of labeling it and stuff, but essentially it's a film about. We wanted to do it to kind of inspire compassion, and but we needed to package it a certain way. India is a very different audience from the rest of the world. Of course, they want action, they want adventure, but at the same time, we need to have emotion, right? There needs to be humor, and it needs to have it takes a village. There's a whole bunch of things that need to come together to make a film appealing to an Indian audience. And then you have to hold their attention from the beginning to the end. And we've worked really, really hard, on the editing table, all the way it was shot. And we asked ourselves this question like all the time, are people going to switch off at this point? Are people going to switch off? Is this too much? What do we need over here to hold on to them? Because at the end of the day, India is not ready for documentaries. The audience that watches documentaries is below 0.0001% possibly, right? So we needed to package it like a Bollywood film with the story, with the 3-act structure, and there had to be a certain amount of storytelling with it. So we hope that people receive the message through everything that we've done through this whole process, and I'd be ecstatic to see a positive change because of this film. I mean, it's why we made it. It's why we spent the past 6 years on it. We've been pretty relentless, I would say. But yeah, I mean, it would be the most amazing thing for me and our team for it to do well.
Do you think people will call Test Subject V a propaganda film?
No, I don't think so, because it's shot and created from that's a very valid point though. It's shot and created from an extremely neutral perspective, and I'm really proud of that. And that's one thing that we didn't want to do. We didn't want to make a film that's preachy. We didn't want to make a film that says, hey, you have to do this way, you can't do that, right? It's from a person's perspective, this test subject, that is a regular average guy that people will relate to, because he's just a regular guy, and suddenly he's getting all this information, and from his standpoint, hey, what do I listen to, this or this? And then he just dives into the whole research of it all. He wants to learn more because he's been told a certain thing all his life, and he wants to check, is it actually this? But then when he finds out there's more to it, it's a very neutral take, is what I'm trying to say. So it's not a propaganda film at all.
So you're not coming from like a preachy angle, you're coming from a place of curiosity.
Absolutely. And the thing is that, we've been discussing this for so long, we want people to go out there and do their own research. And in fact, that's the disclaimer on our film. Say, go out there, do your own research, and then make your own decisions. Don't believe us. Go out there, we're planting a seed. Go check it out for yourself. And just don't believe anything what anyone's telling you, whether it's the news, whether it's nutrition magazines or anything. You have access to the most important thing, the greatest invention. It's right in your pockets. Just do your research. That's all. Yeah, it's about curiosity. That's a great word.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point to take with advocacy in general, or trying to encourage more people or inspire more people to make more compassionate choices, is that I think if you come from a place of preachiness, automatically our brains turn off.
Switch
because
off.
like, I'm not going to listen to you. You're telling me I'm wrong, and you're telling me I'm shit because I'm doing X, Y, Z. But if you come from a place of being curious and taking that person with you, and they don't feel threatened emotionally, they're more likely to be on board and at least listen and be open.
Absolutely.
So I really like that this is the angle of the film, and I'm really interested to see what the uptake in India is going to be on this.
What I love about it is that, like you said, it's following your journey. You're talking about your journey. You're talking about what you learned and how it affected you. So it's not even about theory. It's about reality of what happened to you. So there's not preachy at all. And you mentioned the film inspires compassion. I think above everything, it inspires optimization. That's what's so fun about your film when you watch it. I'm like looking, I'm like, I want to do what this guy did, you know? And like, sure, compassion is cool, but like, look at this guy's transformation. Look how he came from almost dead to fully alive, thriving. Like, I want to jump on that train. Yeah. And which is great for, yeah, I love that.
And I've heard that John Abraham is part of this project. Can you tell me if that's true and how?
Yeah, I mean it's out there now. We're out in the press, and you know it's out there. John Abraham is presenting the film, and he's just been the most generous, humble, and giving person through this entire thing. And I can very honestly tell you that I wouldn't be here without John Abraham. You know, that's how he's wholeheartedly supported us. He's presenting the film, he's featured in the film, and yeah, he's in it's not a huge space, but people will enjoy his part for sure.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Can I ask, like, what is his interest in this?
He's, of course, he's, you know, a fitness icon globally, not just in India. Of course, in India, majorly. And, you know, he's also someone that chooses to live consciously. And he's not vegan or plant-based, and he doesn't claim to be. And I respect him for, you know, saying, hey, listen, I'm not vegan. But at the same time, you know, he does so much for animals.
Yeah.
You know, he does a whole lot for animals that, you know, you don't even hear about. He doesn't do it for the PR or you'll be amazed at the kind of things that I've come to learn about how much he does. So I really respect him, and the way he's just guided us through this whole thing, you know, it's been remarkable. You know, he's been great.
So from I guess his perspective, would he, being an animal lover, he would want people to consider their choices and be more conscientious and potentially reduce their animal consumption? Is that what we're saying?
He, again, just our film, and the reason it works so well with him, because he's very neutral. You know, he takes on a very neutral stand. He's like all about making sure that people have the information, and then making your own choice about it. But he also has supported the film because it sparks curiosity to ask questions, and it's not a film where it's in your face.
Yeah.
You know, because that's not who we are, you know, and that's, I think, why he supported it, because he's not on either side, but he chooses his own personal journey is to not consume animals. He doesn't eat meat, and he's given it up 35 or 38 years ago, right? And he still has like the most insane body that you will see, one of the most insane bodies in Bollywood, right? So, and he's done it his way. But yeah, I think it's about being neutral, but at the same time disseminating the information correctly, packaging it correctly, and if that sparks compassion, if that sparks a positive change in someone, he's happy. That's his perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
So, Kip, a lot of people listening to my podcast, very passionate animal advocates, people who care about animals and want to get more involved and do more, a lot of budding filmmakers and all sorts of people. What advice do you have for people that may wish to, like Kunal, get into creating films or documentaries? And, you know, I've also received emails from people that have just like genuinely wanted to know, like, how can they create stuff, or how can they get something on Netflix, or how can they... So if someone has a documentary they want to do, for example, where should they start?
Well, I say it's like riding a bike. I mean, Kunal is the perfect example of just, you want to do something, you just do it, and you don't wait. So it's just start filming, start editing, start being, you know, I always recommend, you know, even if it's hard, being in front of the camera to practice. And now you can do it by yourself. You can do like selfie videos and do videos, and then learn how to edit. Watch other documentaries and other films that aren't necessarily even, you know, get out of the bubble, say the animal rights bubble, and watch the most popular films in the world. Like, why do people be a studier of films and story? Why do people love this film? Why do they love that film? Like Raiders of the Lost Ark, or The Odyssey's coming out now, Christopher Nolan. Why do they love this? And then studying the hero's journey and just getting passionate about what storytelling is, because it's all about story. And story could be done in a 2-minute video. It could be done in a 20-minute. You know, learn how to do hooks. That's what you were talking about. Your film just has hook after hook after hook. And that's the goal of how can you create something that people are going to be engaged in this short attention span life we're in the entire time. So just keep practicing like you're playing tennis, you're playing golf, and just keep doing it. And then the other thing is collaborate with people a lot more talented than yourself. You know, I'm sure you're working with people that you admire, and because you're learning, and that's all I've done is collaborate with people more talented than myself, and then have a passion for like no matter what this is happening, I'm doing it.
I love that.
You know, on that note, I'd just like to add that for me, when he said collaborate with people that, you know, are a lot more talented than you, for me, this whole film has just been like full circle because I watched Kip's films in, you know, 2017, 2018, and, you know, I was just like, wow, I was just blown away by this whole style of filmmaking. And I was not a documentary guy, but his films have just been so interesting, and they've inspired so much for Test Subject V, his style of filmmaking, you know, and you'll see that when you watch Test Subject V. There's parts, you know, that I've taken from Kip Andersen's style, and I have no qualms in accepting that because there's so much respect there. So it's just to have him be a part of Test Subject V, I'm super grateful, and now him being here in Bombay, you know, taking this film out to the world with us is it means a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's the most disturbing thing that you learned while you were making Test Subject V?
I think it comes down to, we did a lot of research, and certain things that I knew and certain things that I didn't, but I don't want to give away too much of the film.
Yes, don't.
I don't want to give away too much of the film, but people are not going to look at food the same way. Forget the ethical part of it. I'm just talking about the things that go into your food, and how people, it's disturbing to another level of what we've been told. And again, it comes down to the whole programming thing, right? Yeah. But so because we've been programmed so intensely all our lives, where a lot of people are not even going to believe what they see in this film. Yeah. They're not, and I do hope that the people who do believe, you know, are inspired to make a change about that. But yeah, I don't want to give out too much. But there's a lot that people are going to see. But you know what, Amy? The thing is that we've tried to make a film that doesn't put people off. Yeah. We've not showed any graphic images. We've used animations. We've done a lot of storytelling. We've made a fun picture, or fun film, and but it does have some shock value, you know. Yeah.
Amazing. Guys, what's one thing that you wish every Indian family would talk about?
I think every family, and not just Indian families, should talk about the truth.
Oh.
Well, since we're here talking about a film that is, you know, essentially about nutrition and food, I think that people have a right, children have a right, and even though we feel that we don't because they're children, have a right to know where their food really comes from. And I think that it's a small thing, and you know, based on what your question is, but I think it's an extremely important thing, that because it changes lives. It changes, literally my life changed when I found out certain things, and for some time I was even upset with my parents. I'm like, hey, why didn't you tell me? You know, I thought that this grew on trees, you know, and that's the kind of perception you have in your head. And
But Kunal, like, I just want to add to what you said, because I feel that a lot of parents genuinely believe that their children, to be healthy, need to eat meat, need to have eggs, and need to have dairy, because that's what doctors tell us. That's what medical professionals tell us.
That's what their parents told them.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what advertising tells us. So everything is telling us that we need to be eating animal products.
Yeah.
So can we really blame them?
No, you can't. That's, again, it comes down to the conditioning. It's generational. Yeah. Right? So it's just reaching a point that you can just disconnect from that, and then do your own research and then just plug out.
But this is the thing, if we can't trust governments, medical professionals, what's being sold to us on TV and in popular media, who do we trust for what is correct?
Test subject V.
Exactly.
No, I think test subject V represents the everyday man or the everyman, right? And who just decides to take matters into his own hands, and that's the premise of the film. He's just sick of listening to this person and don't eat this and don't eat that, and just find out for himself, and just makes himself this human lab rat.
Yeah.
Right? And makes his body the evidence of what actually happens when you go down this route, and finds out for himself. And I think everyone should kind of, and it was inspired by something that John said, that, if you want to make a difference, you have to start at home. And that's actually the premise of the film. That's where the film took off. We said, you know what, let's just find out for ourselves. And I think that everyone should have that moment where they said, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to listen to anybody. I'm going to figure this out. What's right? What feels right? What aligns with me most? Ethically, functionally, in every way. Yeah.
I think that it's a very good point though, because people do need to take it upon themselves to do their own research, because we are living in a society with a lot of vested interests all around us. I mean, the meat and dairy industry alone is like $1 trillion bajillion organization, lobbies, etc. They feed into every piece of information that we are seeing left, right, and center, and it's shaping our perception of reality for what's right and what's wrong. So you have to detach from that, almost like the Matrix. You have to plug out of it and do your own research. And for me, I'm very thankful that happened a very long time ago when I watched Earthlings, the OG film. And
the vegan maker.
It is. Have you seen Earthlings?
To be honest, I couldn't get through the whole thing. I couldn't. I didn't have the heart for it.
But it makes you so depressed for some time after seeing something like Earthlings, which is maybe an important phase that you need to go through. But then I had to go on this research, like a maze of China study and reading and finding out. Because if I go to the doctor will say, oh no, you can't be vegetarian. It's not going to work for you. So I then had to do my own research. So I understand that it is overwhelming for people and a little complicated to know, where can I go to find out what's correct, what's right. Interesting. Well,
sorry, one interesting thing I just want to add to that is that something that happened in the course of the film is that you spoke about trainers and nutritionists, etc. That was, we used that in the film. And then towards the end of the film, when we achieved a certain result, a lot of people changed their minds.
A lot of people who are non-vegan change their minds?
Yes, and I'm proud of that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And again, it's not a vegan film or a non-vegan film. It's a human journey. It's a human story, right? The diet thing is just an angle to a human story.
Yeah.
It's actually a relatable, fun film. We did manage to shock a few people with what happened and what we achieved, and a lot of people changed themselves. They took on this journey for themselves.
It's really amazing.
We're very happy about that.
And I think that just goes to show, to change people's perceptions or misconceptions, the best way is to lead by example.
Yeah, absolutely.
In every single way. Yeah. So Kip, if you had an unlimited budget and no censorship, what would you make a documentary on?
Oh, wow. I think a really fun one would be doing all the lineages of every single religion and doing them in its full story and how they all eventually come back to compassion. And so Christspiracy, we show Jesus' lineage, how it's the Nazarene movement. But when you go to the Nazarene movement, when you look at that actual story, it's like Game of Thrones. I mean, it's so exciting. all the things that happened of that whole Nazarene movement. So Cam and I always say we would love to make a film called The Nazarenes, but then you go into Hinduism, like the incredible storyline of Hinduism and the Bhagavad Gita, and showing that in like between of animations and storylines and all that. It would just be so fun to do every single religion in its own thread line of the truth, though, not like that's been covered up and stuff.
Yeah. Investors who are watching, please drop a DM. So just on this question of this topic of religion, you know, we see so many Hindus eating meat, Muslims eating meat, Hindus sacrificing, Muslims sacrificing, Christians eating meat. Every single culture, Buddhism eating meat, everybody is eating so much meat, killing so many animals, wearing animals, using animals in every way, shape or form, and then calling themselves religious or spiritual or going to church or going to temples or going to mosques, whatever. Where is the disconnect?
The disconnect is they're not looking at the origins of where their religion came from. And I do really believe that it is happening now, that soon, as of now, people can't call themselves Christian or Hindu or Muslim or Buddhist when they're eating animals. I feel the seed has been planted in the last few years, and it's just been planted. But as, again, especially this next generation coming up, you can't hide anything from them. They'll be like, oh yeah, for sure. Like, are you kidding me? So I do see, again, once again, that this enlightened time we're living in is happening really fast, where to call yourself one of these things, you are living at peace with animals.
But that's a very interesting statement you just made, though, that if you are eating meat, that you're then not living by the virtues of your religion, whether it's Christianity, Hinduism, or Islam, because many people believe that their God, whether it's in Christianity or in Islam, has suggested that animals are to be consumed for us.
And I think that's going back to dominion. They mistranslated dominion. Just go back to the very first part of the Bible, and that's all those religions you mentioned, not Hinduism, but Islam, Judaism, Christianity. The very first rule from God is stewardship. That is why we're placed on this planet. That's why we're here. Yeah. So just redefining that of the truth of what that means, and so just spreading that message.
Wow. I actually saw a really wonderful graphic the other day of ego versus seva, and they were side by side, right? So you've got, imagine this like circle with all the animals inside the circle, and the human is on the top. That's ego. Seva is where we flip it, where all the animals are in the circle, but the human's at the bottom, and they're there to take care. And I think that's what we've just got it upside down. That's just what's happened.
I have a similar kind of perspective. I think that the disconnect, as you mentioned, comes from that there's just so much noise that we've forgotten to listen to ourselves.
Yeah.
At the basics, right? Because there's so many people telling you what to do, whether it's religion, whether it's your doctors, whether it's nutrition, whatever it is, you're just listening. There's so much noise. And who are these people? How are they fit to tell you, like, what have they done? Like, to know this? Have they all lived till 150 years old? No, they haven't. Yeah. They die of similar problems. They have the same problems. They breathe the same air as us. So I think that everyone has to learn and make their own choices. And I think that the disconnect comes from we've forgotten to listen to ourselves and the basics, right? Like they say, like, you know, there's this one really famous thing. I think it was Gary Yourofsky. Who said that as babies, you know, you have if a baby is put in a crib and then you give him an apple and a knife and a rabbit, you know, you tell me when he actually goes and kills the rabbit rather than, you know, and eats the rabbit rather than eating the apple, because we've forgotten to trust our natural instincts and listen to ourselves. And that's where the disconnect is. You know inherently what is right and what is wrong because you feel it. You feel it in your heart. You feel heavy. Yeah. You know, you feel sad when you do something, because you feel when you hurt someone and you feel someone in pain, it hurts you.
Yeah.
But we've forgotten because there's just so much noise and we're so disconnected. So I think that's what it is. It's the noise and just plugging out again and just trying stuff yourself and listening to yourself what really feels good.
And I do think it is being indoctrinating behavior though, because like as a species, we are creatures of learned behavior. So whatever we see and observe when we're young growing up, to us, that's normal and that's okay. Even if our natural disposition when we are born is to be empathetic and to be kind and to take care, but that's taken out of us as we kind of grow up. And I see so many disturbing things of like crazy festivals where they're slaughtering animals and kids are watching, or, and then, or in a household of people eating meat and it's normal, and, it's taken out of you the empathy. And I think that's where the problem lies. And as you're saying, like we just live in so much noise, it's like you just don't know anymore.
And I think a good question to ask yourself is, what does my inner child think about this? And what does my highest self think about this? And if you can tune into both of those, and both of those are the answer, that's your true self.
Absolutely, yeah.
Connect to that.
If animals could ask humans one question, what do you think it would be?
What do you see when you look into my eyes?
Wow.
That's beautiful. That's profound in such a simple way. For me, and again, this has nothing to do with the animals that we eat or anything. It's just because of I've seen this with my own dogs, and they look at me, and I feel that they say, "Why are you not present? Why can't you live and just be present in the moment?" Because we've always got so much going on, then it comes back to the noise. And I see that, and I see that they're asking me that question with their eyes already. So for me, it has nothing to do with what we eat or what we do, or about themselves, but we can learn so much from animals. They live in the moment. They enjoy every second of their life, and it comes down to, again, everyone wanting to live the same way. And the way they live, they juice life. We don't. We just get so distracted.
Because they're present.
Yes, they're present.
Their sense of awareness in that moment is complete.
Yes.
And they're always content. Yeah. And animals are so amazing, you guys. I could go on for ages, but I watched this video the other day, and this is not about who's more intelligent or whatever, but I'm just always so in awe whenever I find more things out about animals. Like there was this mouse, this guy has this mouse, and he's given him a Hot Wheels car.
I saw that. I saw this.
And the mouse got out to go and check the route, the obstacle course that the guy has made. So first the mouse checked the obstacle course, went back to the car, got into the car, and then drove his little vehicle to the end point, and then got the treat. Like, dude,
wow.
I can't.
Coming back to what Kip said about, what you see in my eyes, that's so beautiful and so profound, and but the reason I changed, one of the reasons I actually changed my life and my lifestyle is because I actually did look into the eyes of a cow once. Like, it was a little baby cow, and I was on a trek somewhere in Rishikesh, and I saw it's the most humbling, the most beautiful. There's magic. If you look into the eyes of an elephant or a cow, it's just, there's so much innocence, yes, but there's something beyond anything that you will see here. It's just magic, and you're immediately, it's a confirmed thing for you that this is a special being. It's a special being, and you don't want to partake in causing harm to that being.
That's so funny you say that, because I was already vegan about 8 years. I did Kundalini yoga teacher training in Rishikesh. Hardcore vegan, and I'd never looked in animals' eyes like a cow. And so at like 4 a.m. on the way to the Ganga River, there was a cow that was always there. And one morning I said, I'm going to finally do this. I'm just going to look in this cow's eyes. And I looked in the cow's eyes, looked right at me, and very quickly I just started feeling embarrassed. And at that moment, I saw the wisdom and the contentness and the eternity of just how incredible this animal is. And I kind of withered that I was even looking in the eyes, like I do not deserve to look in this animal's eyes. And I really had to bow down And it was one of just reverence and just, I felt just higher than I am. Like, I am not going to reach your state of nirvana. It was profound, very profound.
Wow, it's all inspiring. So Kunal, as we wrap, why would you recommend somebody to tune in to Hotstar and see Test Subject V?
July 18th.
I deliberately didn't say it in case I say the wrong date.
You can ask again. Sorry.
Well, by this time it'll already be July 18th, so it doesn't matter. You can watch it right now. Yeah. Yeah, that's July. Yeah, it already happened. So.
Do you want me to ask again?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's fine. Yeah, you should now.
No,
because I
now,
cut you off.
no,
Sorry.
now it's gotten even better. So no, now just go for it.
I mean, where's the camera? Which camera should I look at? That guy?
Yeah, sure.
So if you're sick and fed up of just listening to the noise around you and tired of people bringing you down and telling you can't do stuff, and you just want to find out for yourself, right, what you're really made of, what the truth is, right? You want to understand what's right and what's wrong for yourself, you know, and you've just been in two minds about it. I would say just watch this film. If there's something holding you back on anything that you want to do, it could be anything, right? And if you're on two minds about it, and if you're doubting yourself, watch this film. If you want to relate and you just need a little bit more motivation and you want a little bit more inspiration, watch Test Subject V. We made an extremely honest picture, and it's kind of fun, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you take back something special and positive from it. And yeah, just you know, we're on Hotstar, and please talk about the film and share the film and talk to your friends and family about it and just spread the message.
Kip, do you have any last words?
You have to watch Test Subject V because it's like watching a video game. It feels like choose your own adventure. You're just like put on a ride, like a roller coaster, and you jump on Kunal's ride and you're in for an adventure. It's just fun. It's inspiring, super empowering, and you're going to learn a lot along the way. And in 90 minutes, your life's going to be transformed. And yeah, enjoy the ride.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, buddy.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Really
Thank you,
loved the
Amy.
conversation.
This was awesome. It was
And now
really
I'm going to
nice.
go looking up Britney Spears
Yeah.
and see what she was wearing.